Everyone, hope you're doing well, hope you're looking after yourselves. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Curtain, where we dive into deeper discussions that we've had on other podcasts, and we celebrate incredible people doing incredible work and allow you to connect with them, learn more about their journey, and share the amazing stuff that they're doing. We've had loads of cool people on here before. We've learned about Kemi, who's doing a lot of stuff on music and is running her own music studio, and how she's found that experience. We have, it's one of those ones where we've done a lot of episodes and now I'm trying to remember which ones we've done. We've spoken to people about their educational journey, starting their own businesses, going into the corporate world, a whole host of things. We always bring amazing people on, is essentially what I'm trying to get to. We have another amazing guest speaker here today, but you know, I don't like doing introductions. So instead I'm going to hand over to our guest speaker today, Nicole. It's been great to see your journey on LinkedIn and then to find out more about you. I'm looking forward to finding out more about you through this, but could we know a bit more about you and what you do?
You certainly can. So my name's Nicole. I'm a pharmacist by background. I have been qualified 4 years this year. So I unfortunately was a COVID graduate, graduated into the pandemic, and then I had to do, as most pharmacists will know, you have to do a qualification year before you actually practice as a pharmacist. So that was just COVID. Obviously, I don't really have to say much. It was really tough. I did a hospital GP split. So 9 months I was in hospital rotating around, again during the pandemic, so you can imagine what that was like. And then 3 months later I went into a GP practice as a pharmacist. So it was kind of nice. I've always been someone who enjoys a little bit of, I like change basically. I don't like to do the same thing over and over again. And actually that's been reflected in the last 4 years. So after my pre-reg year, I went to work for Lloyd's Healthcare Services. Yeah, so I was doing sort of outpatient dispensing, and that was a really big learning curve because, so I was commuting at the time. I'm actually based in Birmingham, and I was going up to Stoke University Hospital, a big teaching hospital, so I saw lots of things while I was there. Only lasted 9 months in that job before I decided to move on and essentially pivot into what I do now, which is PCN pharmacy. I worked more locally for a year, and then I went and I moved to Manchester. I'm still based, well, my job is based in Manchester, and I'm sort of in between GP and hospital pharmacy. I did my non-medical prescribing at the University of Salford last year. So my specialist interest is hypertension and heart failure. Actually, because hypertension is a massive thing that affects the BAME community, and I just thought I like to do things that are like visible within my community and that I can actually make a difference from that standpoint as well. So yeah, that's a little bit of background, I guess, professionally, but personally, what can I say? I would say I'm a big change person. I like to move around. I've lived in lots of different places. I went to uni in Durham/Newcastle. Again, that's like a whole backstory on that. I actually applied to Durham University, but I moved to Newcastle after my first year because our campuses moved. So that was actually great because I got to experience 2 different universities, 2 freshers' weeks, 2 students' unions, so 2 of everything. I love the North. I always say I'm a Northern girl at heart. I loved being in Newcastle, loved being in Manchester. I am back based in the Midlands, but watch this space, who knows?
That's really cool. I know you're a bit nervous about your intro, but that was perfect. Yeah, you did an amazing job. But let's dive into your career journey. So you've already mentioned that your experience spans hospitals, primary care, and medical safety, or medicine safety. Yeah. What inspired you to pursue a career in pharmacy? And then the second part is, how has your journey evolved since? I know you've sort of touched about how your journey has evolved, but I guess maybe more on the first part. What inspired you to go into pharmacy?
Honestly, I don't really have like a big inspirational story, so to speak. I'm very lucky. I know that like lots of us from BAME backgrounds will talk about how our parents wanted us to study really specific careers. So in a way, I kind of knew I had to go maybe like the sciences or perhaps something mathsy, but I think I'm someone with a lot of interests. So when I went to do my A-levels, I actually did biology, chemistry, French and English literature. So I was kind of like, oh, maybe I'll be rebellious and maybe I'll go and do like an English degree or something. But I was thinking of the bigger picture, and I was like, I want to do something that I'll still enjoy, hopefully still make money from and build a career. And I think I just thought, well, biology and chemistry mash that together. I wanted to do something quite patient-facing, or at least a job that would utilise like the skills I've got. I'm someone who I like to chat, I like to yap. So that kind of ruled out like the lab-based sciences for me, because I knew I didn't want to be like pipetting or like doing lots of reports and things like that. Although I will say, if you're doing a pharmacy degree, there is still a lot of that. But yeah, I knew that I wanted to just do something that would utilise like aspects of my personality as well. Yeah,
that's really cool. And I think what's interesting is, as you mentioned, like you found a career that like utilize your like skill set and like what you like. So even like you said, I actually hate lab work. So as we briefly discussed, I have a background in sciences, specifically environmental sciences. But yeah, literally in my first year when we were doing lab work, I was like, I would never be in a lab again if I don't have to.
That's it.
And yeah, literally, like we said, I love the community, like engaging with people part. So that's why it's really interesting with, so like for my placement year at uni, I did work within my uni, they had like a STEM outreach team. So it was like going to local schools and promoting STEM with young people. And that was really fun. I liked it. It was cool to talk about like my degree, but also like to learn about like different areas of STEM. So some of the people in the team were like, they did engineering or robotics. Some of them did biomed or chemical engineering. So it was like cool to have like different degrees, but then you're doing all these like cool workshops that teach like the basics of these degrees. So we had like one on, it was basically a model car workshop. So you would use, I don't know if you remember, like, this was like ages ago. I don't know if they still exist, but they're like Connect pieces. Think of it like Lego, but it's like one with like the
little like balls on the end that you can, I'm thinking of it on that.
So it was like a model car workshop. So you have to design a car, but then the reason why it's really cool is it has to basically move with, you use an elastic band and it has to move with an elastic band.
Okay, sounds complicated.
Yeah, so you had to learn about, like, it was really cool. So the person who was leading on it, he was actually a PhD student who was doing rocket engineering. So it was all around how like Formula One cars are designed to like be as aerodynamic as possible. So with it, students were basically had to put an elastic band on the wheel. I don't remember how it worked, but like, it was like using the elastic band, they had to propel the car forward. But then they had to think about, okay, well, do I need to have bigger wheels at the front or the back? How much weight should it have? Is that going to slow it down, make it faster?
Critical thinking skills,
But it was really cool because it was like fun ways to learn about subjects. But yeah, literally like we said, like that's why now with like my part-time, even with like what I do pick up the mic, like I very much like the community aspect. So yeah, it was great to see that like with your own journey, you've been able to find that too.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, when I briefly spoke to, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Madison, that's it. Briefly spoke to Madison about, you know, what my long-term goals are, my 5-year plan and all that. And definitely I would say is just making sure that I can show up at whatever it is I do for a job as myself. I think it's really difficult generally. Obviously, lots of people, you want a job, you want to be employed, but I think as I get a little bit older, I'm realising that I don't want to have to split my personality into two and like be one person 9 to 5 and then clock out, because it's just, it's not good for me anyway. Mentally.
No, it's 100% true. It's funny that you mentioned, like, it's recorded on the same day. I don't know if it's going to come out at the same time, but a podcast recording we did this morning was literally touching on this. So I was saying that the guest I know through work, and I was saying that it was really interesting because they taught me that. So I would be like, the stuff I do pick up the mic, or who I am with my pick up the mic hat on, is very much different to who like part-time worker at organisation is. But I said, no, the person was like encouraging me to like blend the two. And I think it's like we said, like showing like your work shouldn't cause you to feel like a part of you shouldn't exist.
No, and I think that's the beauty maybe of like not working in a corporate space. Again, I don't know, like I don't have very many friends that work in corporate spaces. And I know that for those who do, it's a sense of like, I have to show up a little bit differently here than I would, you know, elsewhere, and I can't be my authentic self because, you know, politics and whatever else is going on. So I think in a way that is the beauty of working with the public sector and with the general public in a way, because specifically for anything like healthcare related, where you are dealing with people who are, you know, they're just going through a range of things really, and I think showing up as yourself gets you a lot further in roles where you do have to have that sort of like compassion and authenticity. It gets you a lot further.
100%. We're going to go on to the next question, which is essentially around, so working across dynamic, dynamic, cross-functional healthcare teams requires more than just, clinical knowledge. So how do your interpersonal and strategic skills contribute to your impact in these environments that you work?
That's a really good question. So I would say the most important thing is to, I do not treat anybody differently, no matter who you are to me, whether you're a consultant, whether you're the HCA. I would say, again, it's one of those things of be nice to everyone. You will need someone. You will need a receptionist at some point. You might get locked out. You'll need to speak to the cleaner, or I think a lot of it is showing up as confidently as you can with the cross-functional teams, not only knowing what your contribution is to the team, but also what is everyone else's contributions. Because again, going back to what I said is, you need to know who's going to be able to help you when it's time. And that's not to say that you should go with what can I get out of this mentality? It's just, if you know what your role is within that sort of wider team, and you're aware of what everybody else is supposed to be contributing as well, I think it makes a big difference. And again, that's the basic really, is not to treat anyone any differently, no matter where they are and what stage they are. I think that's really important for, cross-functional working.
Yeah, and I think even literally what we said about receptionists and stuff is I mentioned it as one of the best advice that I got with preparing for job interviews, and they were just everyone's got this conception that it's only when when you sit down and you start speaking, that's when the interview starts. But they were just no, as soon as you arrive, some organisations don't. It's not necessarily adds to the scoring, but they'll ask the receptionist how was the person?
Yeah.
What do you think about them? Did you get along? What was the vibe that you got from them? If they take people through their offices, they might ask colleagues as well.
That's it.
And yes, the things people don't think about these small interactions that play a huge part.
No, and I think again, healthcare is one of those things where it's just the basic. It's the bare minimum of what you can do. Everybody deserves to be treated with respect, no matter what job it is that they do. And I mean, I guess to add on to that, I would say is make people aware that you're there, make people aware of who you are and what it is you're doing. I make it quite a point, even in the job that I'm in now, because I hybrid work, which I'd never done before the job that I'm in now. So it's even more important for people to know your face, know what you do, you're going to have to email somebody or reach out to this, that, and if they don't know who you are, that's a problem, especially if you're working in a team. You don't want the first time someone sees your face or that you speak to them for it to be maybe something that you're asking. So I make a point to have lunch at a specific time when I'm in the office, because I know that's when everybody else will be in there. And I think it's just great for general staff rapport as well, because again, people are dealing with quite a lot and clinicians are dealing with quite a lot. So it's good to be able to decompress with the people that you work with also. Yeah, I think that's really important.
100%. And I think it's like we said there that you, even the people that you meet with work might be able to help you with stuff outside of work. So whether that's with you need a mentor or
100%,
a career coach, stuff like that. But like we said, unless you're showing up and meeting people, reaching out to people. Yeah, I'm not saying if you reached out to someone you've never met on at work, they would say no. But like you said, if someone reached out to me through work and said, "Hey Jeffrey, I'd love to chat about pick up the Michael podcasting," I'm more if I know them, I'm more likely to be yeah, sure, let's book in a time. I know what I'm going in with. Whereas if it's someone that I don't know at all, I might be I don't know necessarily how it's going to go.
Yeah.
How long is this going to be for? Is this more of a friendly chat, or is this more professional, formal? And I feel like we said, that's why it's important to make yourself known. And whether that is, like you said, having set times for lunches where you can meet other people in your team, whether that's, keeping an ear out to see what other work people are working on. So if maybe your team gives you the opportunity to shadow another team, you can reach out to them. I tell people the organization I work at does a lot of staff socials.
Yes.
I say go to staff socials, connect with people, not only, and I feel this is also, I'm not an expert at this, so if anyone who does work with me is watching this, they will know. But even when I joined, what's funny is when I join new organizations, people tend to think I'm more introverted than extroverted. But it's mainly because I'm I'm not at that stage where we can make, I don't know you, you don't know me per se, but I feel like staff socials are a really good way to like meet people and not necessarily network, but connect in like a natural way.
Yeah.
Where it's not stressful.
I guess my unpopular opinion, or like my unpopular take, because again, I see a lot of things online about please don't speak to me on my lunch break and I completely get it. I'm not saying you should, Monday to Friday be the one sitting in the office with your lunchbox waiting for everybody else to turn up. No, but I think it's really important to be able to connect with the people 100%. on some very basic level. I'm not, please don't go and be spilling out your deepest, darkest secrets to the people that you work with. No, but I think for me personally, all the feedback I've ever got from the jobs that I've had previously, and it's something that I do pride myself on, is a lot of people will say, oh, you're really easy to talk to, you're really approachable, you're really friendly. And ultimately that's what you want. Again, within the space that I work in, I can't speak for like other sectors. People need to be able to know, actually, I'm not afraid to approach this person to ask a question. Because again, it's a lot of fear mongering. Like when I was in hospital, it always used to be, oh God, please don't ask the consultant a stupid question, because then they're going to sort of like kick off and whatever else. And I would hate to be in that position one day and for someone to think like they can't approach me to ask me a question, because how else do you learn, really?
100%. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of the things my sister's been doing, or like one of my sisters has been doing, like, I don't know if she's still doing it, but she was doing reverse mentoring. So like she would mentor a more senior person.
Okay, I've never heard of that before, reverse mentoring.
So it would be basically like someone who's more senior in the company, so maybe like a head of a department, a deputy director, they would be mentored by someone who's at a lower grade, and it would just be like, oh, like, how are you finding work? Or like they might ask questions about, to sort of like gauge check. So rather than it being like, oh, how can I advance my career? It's almost like the interpersonal skills that we were discussing about, like connecting with people, knowing people. Because I guess sometimes, especially in a more corporate setting, the more senior you get, the more disconnected you might be from like people at the beginning of their career. So yeah, it was really interesting. Like she was saying that she loved it. It was a really interesting experience. But literally, as you mentioned, like some of them are just like, oh yeah, I love this to talk. So like, I think she said that one of them mentioned like, I don't know, he did something outside of work, which was really interesting. And she found it really interesting, asking questions. And he was just like, yeah, like, I'd love to like share this more.
Amazing. I've never heard of that before. I think that's amazing, because again, in any institution, the more senior you get, the less of you there are. So when I was a band 6 pharmacist in hospital, it was like a gang of us, there's loads of us. So you could interact with your peers and have that sort of peer support, which is great. But, the higher you get, I mean, at my institution now, I'm the only pharmacist that's there. So if I was sort of like kind of standoffish with other people, it's just not going to be good for me, because I need to be integrated within the team that I'm working with. So yeah, I have a very like sort of open door policy when it comes to things like that. Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to go on to the next question, which is, you have done incredible work through your involvement with Black women in science, and you champion women in STEM. We actually I don't know if they're watching this, but I'll shout them out anyways. Donna and Abigail, I think that's actually how I found out about you, was through Donna and Abigail, who are our community partners and good friends at System. I will not, they've got some stuff coming up in August. I will not announce it, because they will announce it in their time. But they've got stuff coming up, so keep an eye out. But yeah, you champion women in STEM. So what kind of initiatives or conversations have had the most meaningful impact to you so far?
Yes, shout out Donna and Abigail. I actually met Donna at a completely unrelated event last year, and we got to talking about STEM, and she told me about System, and I was like, this is completely amazing. I guess from my point of view, obviously Black women in science is something that I champion, and I would love to see more Black women in any capacity of STEM, really. And I know that, again, we tend to talk about the more traditional sort of like medicine or engineering or whatever else it might be, but it's also just like broader sciences. It could be cosmetic science, it could be fabric science, it could be geography or whatever else, earth sciences, whatever it may be. I think my thing is just spreading that awareness, letting people know what else is out there other than traditional STEM careers. And it's really important from women's perspective, because again, we're usually discouraged from seeking out certain careers, or just the resources are not there, or again, it's just that broader awareness. I'm a first gen. I don't really have anyone in my close proximity that does anything really related to like science or STEM or whatever else, and I'm glad, again, that I had the choice and made my own choices, but I think with more awareness, who knows where I might have ended up. So that's something I champion, is just spreading that awareness, letting people know like what is out there. And I think initiatives like System, like Black Women in Science Network is just really important. I mean, I do the outreach and engagement now for Black Women in Sciences, just because, again, I want to go out to like Freshers Weeks and speak to more students, because whilst I was at university, I really only stuck to my traditional pharmacy career. I knew, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to do my pre-reg year, I'm going to become a pharmacist qualified. But actually, I think through even some of the events that I go to spread awareness, I find out things that are still completely new to me. And I'm someone who I would say I've been in the quote unquote industry for like 6 to 8 years. So we're all finding out new things every day, and I think the more visible we are, the better.
100%. And I think what's really interesting, like through work the System does, and like any organisation that supports, particularly like Black women in STEM, is I think it's really interesting to see, like, I'll talk about System specifically because I've experienced their events, and then there's another podcast. It's called Tico Time, run by Joanna. She does a lot of interviewing women in STEM. But with System events, it's been really, like, I guess, as someone who is not a Black woman in STEM, it is nice to like go to these events, and usually I'm like helping out with either videography or photography for Donna or Abigail. But I like attending because, like you said, like I learn a lot from just being in the room, and like I don't know, it's just interesting to see, even like when people like start to come in, because I think with any event, it's like, some people are a bit nervous, like, am I going to find anyone to talk to? Can I connect with people? Is this more like a professional event, or is this more of like social? Sometimes, especially if it's like, not necessarily System is work-based, but like if it's like related to your career, sometimes people might have fears about like, I'm not at a certain stage in my career, so going there, will I be judged for that, things like that. But I think, like you said, like it's really cool to like see people, like the way the room transforms as people like connect and talk to each other.
It's amazing. I mean, System is amazing. I've also been to all their events, and I think what is really important, not just System, but again, shout out to Black Women in Sciences, is we do like an informal virtual hangout, essentially. It was on Saturdays. We're trialing doing like a weeknight as well, so Wednesdays once a month, where we literally tell people to just turn up. It does not have to be a conversation about anything formal or professional. You can literally come and say, like last week, for example, when we had it, we were discussing, I don't know if you've seen it, Tony Tone's TikTok video about her racist encounter whilst on holiday. Because obviously, I guess predominantly is supposed to be a safe space for Black women so that they can come and share if they are having struggles, particularly, to do with like diversity. Today, when I was at the event with Imperial, quite a lot of the students were coming in who are studying for their PhDs, and they're saying, I'm the only Black student or Black woman within my entire department, and actually this is where I feel really isolated. So I guess what we're trying to do is push all those people who feel alone together so that they can recognise that actually they're not alone, or that they do have a support network that is available to them to access, should they need it.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, like those spaces are really key, because it's like you might think in your head like, even like if you see, like you said, like other, whether it's like for me, there's other Black men within my workplace or in the same sector as me, and I might be thinking, they may or they may not get what I'm going through. But like you said, it's like through these like safe spaces where it's like, come chat, like you meet new people, maybe you make a new friend out of it.
Exactly.
And it's just like, you'll actually find like you're not alone in like your struggles. And I feel like the final thing I'll say on it is like, that's why, the reason why I like these safe spaces is because like sometimes it might be like small things that you didn't necessarily know were, whether it's like someone's doing like, microaggressions or things like that. And it might be things that you've been like dismissing and like saying like, like I'm actually the one in the wrong or stuff like that.
Yeah, like invalidating your own experience almost.
But then it's like through talking to people, it's just like, actually no, like what this person said is true. Like what the person did wasn't okay, and I should challenge them about it the next time they do it, or I should bring it up with my manager.
Yeah.
And I think it's like understanding that whether it's people who are the same background as you, whether it's people the same age as you, like whatever it is, creating these safe spaces is nice, because it means that you can then like realize you're not alone in your experiences.
Exactly. I think it's really important, and one of the things we try to definitely like champion is advocating for yourself in any capacity. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be within negative experiences. It's also things like, how can you maybe ask for things at work because you might need more support. You know, you might feel nervous because you don't want to approach your manager and ask about a one-to-one, or ask about more training, or ask about pay, or ask about, you know, like changes to your hours or whatever. So I think that's also really important. It isn't just a space for you to come and sort of like bring all your stresses. You could also bring all your joy. So yeah.
We're going to go on to the second last question, which is that there are many students and early career professionals that may feel uncertain about where they can apply their skills. How did you begin exploring work beyond traditional pharmacy, and what advice would you offer to those seeking value-driven careers?
Oh, okay, you might have to break that down to me into two separate ones. So the first question
was how did you begin exploring work beyond traditional pharmacy?
Beyond traditional pharmacy. So I'm a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none. A very good friend of mine years and years ago wrote in my year 11 notebook something like, good luck on your journey to becoming a doctor, lawyer, engineer, singer, dancer, because and it's something that I'm actually only now realising more recently, that I'm someone who's always enjoyed doing literally any and everything. And I think that's really important because, again, even if you are in a very traditional career, I still think it's important to seek out other experiences. And again, it doesn't really even necessarily need to be career related. I think value driven you can get from, you know, anything that you do, really. It can be a hobby. It can be what I do with my outreach work with Black women in sciences. I still, you know, report to my job, do what I'm supposed to do. But I think all of it is about what is fulfilling to you, really. So try everything, do everything. I think a lot of us have a very fixed idea, or even if you don't know what to do, I think you're scared to do something that you might not necessarily have thought was possible for yourself. So I would honestly say do everything. Like, honestly, I've been like a waitress, a shoe fitter, and all of those experiences will give you value one way or another. You know, you don't always have to do things with your career in mind. I know that's like sort of like opposite of what the question's asking. But yeah, I would say that's what helped me move out of traditional pharmacy, because I'd done so many things. I was like, actually, I don't have to put myself in this box and I can do a lot more.
No, 100%. And I think it's right what you said there, because like there's a friend of mine that we went to Air Cadets together, and then I only recently connected with him last year. And I think he studied biomed. He was thinking about going into like medicine, but then he got into podcasting and was doing podcasting with a friend. And then he basically was just like, oh, maybe I should look into like marketing, because I've like developed all this skill of learning how to market my podcast and like managing social media and all of this stuff. And he's like, why can't I go into like clinical marketing and like marketing for like
medical communication and things like that. Yeah.
And I think it's like what you said, like about like, I think it's called Ikigai.
Oh, yes.
The like three circles of like,
yes.
I honestly don't remember what the three circles are. And if I can find an image, it will nicely appear on the screen. But yeah, like this having like so Ikigai basically, if you have not heard of it, it's like three circles. And I think one is like,
I won't even pretend to remember what the circles are. But yes, it's a big practice that quite a lot of people say, like if you're struggling to figure out like what it is you want to do, you should, you know, sit down and try and reflect and do it. So yeah, I would say don't always just tie value-driven work to your professional career, because it can come from anywhere, and inspiration does come from anywhere it's supposed to, you know. No,
100%. And even like, funnily enough, when you mentioned like doing a bit of everything, so I don't know if it's true because I technically heard it from Big Bang Theory, but they said that like Albert Einstein, when he was struggling with like a theory that he was working on, basically worked in a post office for a few months.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was literally just because he wanted to do, so there's this whole idea that like if you do stuff, if you're struggling to create ideas or like find a solution to a problem, sometimes all your brain just needs is like a task that you know you can easily do. And that looks different for different people. That might be for someone, it is, so like for me, I say, people get surprised by it, but I say, when I'm super stressed, I like to clean. Because cleaning is like, I think, it's...
Me and you. Yes.
Because it's just like, I feel like it's something that I feel like I have control over, but also it's something that I can see the difference. So I'm like, okay, cool. If I'm feeling super stressed, let me do a bit of cleaning because I can see a clear before and a clear after.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need stuff like that. For other people, it's literally like maybe doing a jigsaw puzzle or like, I know I laugh because like my mum recently went into it, but she loves like word searches.
Oh my gosh.
So she was just like, whenever she's super stressed at work. So I got her for Christmas like a massive like word search book. So anytime she's stressed, she just like steps away from the screen and then would like spend a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I also think like doing different things is important because even if you're super amazing, let's say you're like, I don't know, a hairstylist or something, you're super amazing, it's all you've ever done and you've got this niche and you're great at it and whatever else. I always think still try and do something else because, you know, we're in this whole, what's it called, like portfolio careers and, you know, not necessarily to say that whatever you do has to generate any sort of income or whatever else, but I think it's important to be a well-rounded person. 100%. And you can, honestly, you can gain skills from any and everything. Do it all.
Yeah, 100%. And even like one thing before we go on to the last question is, it's also really, I say funny, but it makes you unique as a candidate when it comes to interviews. So one example a career advisor used at my university was he said that there was a student that was just like, oh yeah, I studied this subject, I'm a recent graduate from this university, and by the way, I was on this quiz show as well. And then they said the reason why that they liked it was because you now stand out. So you're not just like candidate whatever who studied this degree, you're now like the quiz show person. Or like, so like for me, I tell people, oh yeah, I do pick up the mic. Before I was doing pick up the mic, I have like a creative platform that I manage. So for the first job that I ever interviewed for, that was one of the things that I spoke about. So I was just like, oh yeah, I studied environmental sciences at Brunel, but also I was, I run this sustainable platform that promotes sustainable living with young people and we do fashion shows and all of this. And then it's interesting because you also see like, when the interviewer like almost clocks that there's something different about you. Because like with that, they were just like, oh, like you do fashion shows, like tell us a bit more about that. How was it? All of this stuff, which again, like we were saying, makes you different, makes you a more rounded person.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that, I didn't know that, that's really cool. But yeah, it's just, in any sense, I think it's making the most out of what you've got. I mean, like obviously, again, you have to think about the fact that when you do start working, time is a very limited resource. 100%. So before you get to that point where you are, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, make the most of your time. I mean, when I was at uni, my friends and everyone around me was probably sick of me because I was like part of dance society, part of theatre society. I used to volunteer at the Students' Union. I started doing, it was called the Startup Network for people who go to Newcastle or are aware. I think other universities have similar things where if you're a student and you have a business idea, your university will actually help you make that idea basically from 0 to 100. They might even fund you. They will give you like a business advisor. So I love doing that. And obviously that's absolutely nothing to do with pharmacy. I just used to go because they used to give us pizza on like the events. So I was like, great, I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone, experience and I get fed. So it's perfect. So yeah. I'm on board with that, 100%.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we're now going to the last question before I'll let you ask any questions you'd like to ask me. But what do you think academic institutions and healthcare systems can do better to support students, but particularly women and people of colour, who are entering science-related professions? Okay,
so I'll split into 2, I guess. So what do I think academic institutions could do better? So I don't know the full name, but like the 100 Black Professors thing, I'm sure quite a lot of people are aware of, which is trying to encourage more people to even like get into like academia and all the rest of it. Because again, I think visibility is a big thing. I don't remember having any Black lecturers or any like people at university. So I think that's really important because obviously the more visible we are, again, we know like, oh, we can, this is what I can aim for, this is what I can sort of strive for. I think, not to make it like a touchy subject, but again, when we were at university, and I don't know whether this is because I did study up north where there is naturally a lot less sort of diversity, I think that it's really difficult because when you are in an environment that's not as diverse, people actually tend to flock into their individual sort of like social groups and things like that. So I do wish there was a bit more support in terms of like that integration, but again, it's very difficult because people have free will when they're at university and can sort of choose what they get involved with or not. But certainly I think that the resources need to be there, the support networks need to be there. One of the things that I think, like BWIS maybe, or even System and all the rest could do is we want to do more outreach at the point of like sort of Freshers Week, so that whilst people are going through university, they're aware that there are sort of networks that they can tap into. So I definitely think academic institutions could do more to like work with networks that promote that sort of diversity and that inclusion, because that goes a long way, I think. In terms of healthcare, that's an even more tricky one because again, most of the people that I saw, because pharmacy, we work quite closely with medics and biomedical scientists and things like that. And a lot of medics will say, my dad's a doctor, mom's a doctor, this, that, and the other. So I think giving people opportunities for things like placements or shadowing, because not everybody is going to come from a background where they can ask mom or dad or ask, like family members or people who are in close proximity to them. So I definitely think making more opportunities available to Black women and specifically for Black women. And I know that's controversial to say because people in the whole DEI conversation and, I get it, but at the end of the day, it's about equity, not equality. 100%. So if there's a massive sort of disparity, then I do think that we need to have more sort of targeted programs so that people can, again, access like work experience, even like, so my sister, there's a big age gap between us, she's 15, and she does not want anything to do with the sciences. She wants to be a creative, but unfortunately, again, as a first gen, I can't really offer her much in that. Like I can say, come do pharmacy and come, be in the hospital and all the rest of it. But I think in that regard as well, it would be good for her to know actually like this institution supports like Black women who want to get into, I don't know, acting or film or media or whatever else it is. So yeah, I think there's a lot of work to be done in that area. So that question is very difficult to answer.
No, but you answered it so well. And I also realised I forgot to mention it. So I didn't have a Black professor on my course, but I only found out about this later on. But Benjamin Zephaniah was a lecturer at Brunel when I was there. But like apparently you only like even the creative writing students, he would only do like one module, so they knew all about him. But I was at Brunel for like 6 years.
Oh my god!
No idea that he was there. And then Bernadine, I don't know if she's still there, but Bernadine Evaristo as well. I've forgotten what she's written. I won't look it up, but she also is a lecturer at Brunel, and they both like obviously Benjamin Zephaniah, very big, but like literally like I only found out I think in COVID when my sister does a lot of work within like healthcare, and she was looking for like people for Black History Month, and then she was just like, maybe I should reach out to Benjamin Zephaniah, I'll look into him, and she was like, did you know he's a lecturer at uni? And I was like, no, I didn't actually, like I've never seen him on campus. Yeah, but literally like we said, it's like that visibility, because if I did, like I'm not like I didn't study creative writing, like I'm not necessarily going into creative writing, but it's like we said, like he's a professor at a university, like I'm literally in the same vicinity as him. He's going to graduation ceremonies. Like I could have walked past his office type thing. But it literally, like we said, there was no visibility to actually know that he was there.
Yeah, and I think that's it's tricky, like as we all hopefully like do well and like progress in our careers. I think we all like Black community or Black women in general, one thing we say is we don't celebrate our successes enough. We don't self-promote or like necessarily want to like brag or like be visible. And I think it's something we should do more purely for the fact that you don't know like who could fall into your lap in that way, but like you don't necessarily know who could see you and who could reach out to you. And yeah, it's all about, I guess, giving back when you've gotten to where it is you want to go to. And again, I'm very lucky, even though I've said that like I'm not a creative, actually, I know lots of creatives now purely because of the spaces that I'm in. And even, like yourself or Donna and Abigail, who like, yes, they have science backgrounds, but I would class them as creatives in a way. So it's like, you just don't know. And it's important to be as open-minded, as free, like open up your network as much as possible, even to those that are not necessarily, like close to whatever it is that you do. I think that's really, really important.
100%. And I think like one final thing before I hand over to you is, funnily enough, linking again, like this morning is the student guide season finale. So if this comes out before then, keep an eye out. And if it's out, go and watch that as well. But literally the end message that our guest speaker like gave for like our audience to take home with was literally on like, if you, what did he say? I think he said, if I got this wrong, my apologies, but it's like, if you don't feed community, community can't feed you. And he was saying that like, he is big on running community-driven work because he's like, I know, like, yeah, I could reach maybe like X number of people through the work that I'm doing, but if I don't think about, oh, maybe, like literally like we said, like, oh, there might be, so I guess actually, funny enough, perfect example is Donna and Abigail. So to this day, I still, like, if you're watching, please let me know how, because I don't know how we met, in all fairness. They had a brunch, I think it was 2 years ago, and their first year brunch, I was like, I don't know if I was invited or if I reached out to them and they invited me, but I went to that brunch, had a good time, we stayed in touch, and then like through that, I've been doing a lot of work for them, and for me, it's like, oh, I could, like, I do pick up the mic, it's great, we reach a lot of people, but then it's like, represent, like, I have two sisters, so like representation, and they also study the science, like they have a science background, so I want to see, like, for them to feel represented. You know, I'll eventually have children at some point, like they, not anytime soon, please, but I want to have children at some point, and I would like my daughters and also my sons to like feel like represented and like feel that they can like see themselves in places. And if I'm not leading, like even like I said, and I think like one final thing for this is like people think it has to be like money driven or stuff like that, but literally people, like you said, like it might be sharing opportunities. So you know, you mentioned your sister wants to be a creative. I might be like, oh, actually, these organizations that support like under 18-year-olds, or like if she's looking for creative opportunities, this organization, which I will shout out because we're one of their ambassadors, is the ERIC app. So they share like creative opportunities for both people under 18, over 18, any part of the creative industries. It's like a free app. People do blog posts, people put videos. But yeah, I tell people like even the 2 interns that I've got now, the interns that I had last year, I always tell them like, go on the app, because like there is I've found funding opportunities, awards, development programs through that app that I wouldn't necessarily have known about, like if I just, you know, was thinking, there's like all this stuff, but I don't know how to get there. So that's why I say like community driven is so important. Like understanding that like whether it's knowledge sharing, skill sharing, having open spaces for people to talk. Even the person this morning was saying that like he knows a lot of free venue spaces. So he was like, the way I support people is I give them, like I might say, oh, you know, hey, like if you want to use this event space, like here's an event space. Like, and like, I'll either get it for you really cheap or I'll get it for you for free, because like, I know these people, I know the work that you do. And then, I've been talking for ages on this, but like the final thing I'll say on this is, he was saying even about it, like, it's not about like doing it because you want to like boost up your own name or like make yourself big. He's saying like, I could either, like, a perfect example was Donna and Abigail wanted to do an event, like a networking event, and I was like, oh cool, like let me see if you could potentially do it at Somerset House, maybe we can join up. And I was like, look,
I think I remember that you did like the Pick Up the Mic X System event. Yes.
Did you go to?
I didn't, unfortunately. I couldn't because I'm not native to London, so sometimes I do have to miss out on things that I want to go to. But yes, I did see that. Yeah.
But literally, like I told them, like, look, this is your event, like lead on it, like go ahead, do what you want. And literally, like, if you need me to do, I didn't even say I want to. I was like, if you need me to do photos. But like, it was literally what the person said, that like, you don't need to like go there and be like, oh, hey, like, I'm the reason this happened, or like boosting yourself. He was just like, like, isn't it better to just see something come to life just because you like shared a venue or like shared something?
I think on the topic of like community and stuff, and it is something I would say is massively, well, I wouldn't say massively, but it's changed about myself is I was an only child for a very long time. I come from quite a small family. It's literally me, my mum, and my sister now. So I don't think that I grasped that idea of having community until probably within like more recent years, because I always had the mentality of, oh, well, I've always done everything on my own, and it's almost like not knowing how to function, not doing things on my own. But I think it is really important. And obviously, people like Donna, like Abigail, like Tommy, who is the founder of BWiz, they've actually afforded me lots of opportunities. And actually, my life over the last year looks so different because of these people that I met. And again, the ironic thing is I didn't actually go out seeking Donna. Like, we went to the Receipts podcast show, and then I was like, oh, that surname sounds Ghanaian, are you Ghanaian? And then you just get to talking, and then so on and so forth. So it doesn't even have to necessarily be that you're seeking out any sort of opportunity. Just be open to having a conversation with anyone that you meet, really. And I think it's something that our generation don't do so well, because, everything's on social media, or people will, go online and look for, which again, not a bad thing. Really happy that things, can happen that way for us. But yeah, I think generally people need to start connecting with each other more 100%. On a very basic level.
Yeah, and I think even like to say it on like a personal thing. So we did a full-year event for Pick Up the Mic in April, and that was really nice. I had a lot of people from like our community come along, and then there was a person that like I didn't know who came to the event. We promoted it publicly, so I was like, anyone can rock up. And then like we got speaking, and I was like, oh hey, like who are you? What do you do? How do you work? Like where do you work? All of this stuff. And then yeah, it turned out so she works at BAFTA, and she just like found the event either through myself or like us sharing it like on LinkedIn. She was just like, yeah, it sounds really cool. I thought I'd come along. But literally, I was like, this is
you just don't know, do you? You don't know, and yeah, I think. Like I said, and I will continue to say, just be open, be open-minded, be approachable. If you don't necessarily feel confident talking to people in person, I would say do online first, like reach out to people on LinkedIn first, break the ice one way or another, and then sort of, use that as a stepping stone.
Perfect. This is all the questions I have for you.
Yeah.
This is your, if you want to ask me a question, if you want to ask me a series of questions.
Series of questions.
It can be on anything and everything.
I actually would like to ask you about where you would like to see Pick Up the Mic, I guess, in the next couple of years. Well, okay, maybe let's not go too far. Let's say the next year or two.
Yeah. I laugh because this was like, again, generally this links a lot to what was discussed this morning. But yeah, I would say, so the big thing is next year will be at least, looking to next year at least, it will be 5 years since we started Pick Up the Mic. Don't ask me what we're going to do for that 50th celebration. I have no clue. I've been, not forced, but I've been nudged by my brother.
Okay.
He was just like, because we basically since year 3 have been doing like a celebration. So next year would be technically 3 years we celebrated our birthday every year.
Oh, are you a twin?
No, sorry, birthday of Pick Up the Mic. So I
was like...
but like this is very random. I have I have 2 older sisters. One of my sisters, I can show you a picture afterwards. Everyone thinks that we're twins because we have very similar mannerisms.
Okay.
But literally, it's like when we tell people that there's a brother between us and like she's older than me, people get like super surprised because they're just like, you literally look like the same. But yeah, no. So we've been celebrating Pick Up the Mics, like celebrate birthday every year from year 3, and for year 5, I definitely want to do something big. I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm going to be honest.
I'll be invited, obviously.
Oh, of course, no, definitely. But if off camera, if you have any ideas, I would appreciate it.
Okay, I'll get to thinking.
I am just like, because yeah, I have a few ideas, but I also. I'm then thinking, I want it to be, like 5 years is big. Obviously budget allowing and like venue, I might have to talk to the person from this morning.
Yeah.
Venue allowing, like that depends on like what I could do. But yeah, no, I want to do something big. 5 years, we've like to me, I think the biggest thing is Pick Up the Mic from, I say every year Pick Up the Mic changes, but even like Pick Up the Mic from year 1 to now, to me is like the biggest change. So if someone told me like, now we've got like 10 to 11 podcasts that we do workshops, we do mentoring, we do media consultation and also like media services, to like where we started, which was literally like me and 2 of my friends doing like podcast recordings on Zoom in 2021. I'm just like, it's wild. It's gotten this far.
I mean, I think it's like a big, obviously congratulations to yourself that you've been able to like remain consistent, because I think that's another thing is like when you have ideas and you're building ideas and building, something as important as Pick Up the Mic, it's that momentum and keeping it going. So I definitely think you need to celebrate for 5 years because, yeah, that's a big milestone.
Thank you. But yeah, other things. Oh yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about this. Our newest initiative, the Fund and Flourish Lab. So within the next year, I would definitely say that we'd run our first group. So that is a initiative that supports young professionals, creatives and founders who want to like either develop, if they want to go down making money route, develop their business or grow their business, learn about skills and stuff. If they're just someone who wants a third space to like try out, so they might be interested in the idea of maybe developing a new passion or even monetizing their passion, but they don't want to commit to it being a business. It's like, join this space, you can be a part of it. We're going to run it, I keep on saying hoping, but I'm probably going to just have to force myself to say like, this is when it will start. But we're going to run it this year with a small group and then open it up to a wider group depending on a few things. But essentially, that is something I would like to see within the next year. Definitely, that is something that I have thought about like to embed within the 5-year celebration. I'm also, like I was talking about it to a good friend of the podcast yeah, our community. Well, we haven't announced it yet, but she is a community partner called Elise. We were joking about that. Like, we both sometimes like will come up with an idea, and we're just like, yeah, why can't I just like do this? So like one idea I had was through Pick Up the Mic, it's been great to like meet all these different people doing different stuff. Like sometimes they're also doing workshops, they're running a business, maybe they're creative, and to me, I was like, oh, cool, I meet all these cool people. Why can't I just like, this is wild. First time I'm saying this as well, so you get to
exclusive.
It's an exclusive. But I was like, why don't I just run like an arts festival? Like, bear in mind, I've never worked at an arts festival before. I was like, yeah, why don't I just run a festival? And it's like, cool. So I've got all these people that I know do great work. Why don't I just be like, I get the money, or I get a company to invest, or like to sponsor, and I'm like, cool. I just need you to pay for the venue. I've already got these people lined up. So literally, all I just need you to do is turn around and be like, hey, Jeffrey, here's the money. Pay them this, pay yourself this. We'll cover the cost of the venue. Maybe we'll even do the marketing cost for you. And then it's like, cool, sick. And then just run on it. So that may happen next year. I'm going to be honest.
I'll keep my ear on the ground. I'll keep my ear on the ground.
But yeah, I think like the biggest thing is just like trying new things and like being fun. It's something that I've been keep putting off. This will be the final thing, but definitely within the next couple of months. So by next year, it needs to be like running.
Solidified. I'll hold you to that as well. So for the longest time, I was just like, why don't I do like a vlog? So I was just like, yeah, I do all this Pick Up the Mic stuff, but there's certain things that like I was talking to my interns about it today, that like sometimes it's hard to, and I guess linking to our conversation, it's like, sometimes like you wear different hats, and then for me, sometimes I'm like, so certain settings, I'll know it's like business, Pick Up the Mic. Sometimes I'm like, it's very personal. And then sometimes when, like you said about like trying not to monetize or make money from all your hobbies, sometimes when my hobby and like I'm getting paid for it overlap, sometimes it's hard to like know which hat to put on. Well, I was going to say one of my other questions was going to be, I suppose, personally, how do you feel like Pick Up the Mic has contributed to your, I guess, development outside of the working space? Like, how would you say it's had an impact on you?
I'd say it's just made me like more, well, I'd say I was creative before, but it's like shown me that like, I don't know, if I was overthinking like back then, like, oh, I need to buy like the best microphone, a really good webcam, like all of this stuff. Or, oh, I can't even record podcasts online. I need to wait until like, so we were still in like COVID restrictions. So I need to wait until like COVID is done and like wait till we can record in person. Like Pick Up the Mic wouldn't be where it is today. So the biggest thing it's taught me is like, sometimes you just gotta like,
Just start.
Like, get out there, do it, whether it's like a podcast, whether it's like you want to go learn painting. Like, one of the things, so literally next week Saturday, I'll be 26.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
your Saturn return is another year, so hold out for that, because 27.
Yeah. Even my manager is, I think, either a year and a bit older than me. So when I was turning 25, she was just like, oh yeah, 25 is like, it's a lot. Like you have a mind shift change. And I was like, I don't think it'll be that bad. And then literally like
famous last words.
Honestly, we're coming into like almost at the end of 25, hitting 26. I was like, yeah, man, like a lot has happened in this year. And yeah, it was just interesting because it's also interesting to see others say like, oh yeah, like you have change.
Yeah.
And even like, not necessarily even just like family and friends, it's like people that I've worked with for like almost up to 2 years, they're just like, yeah, I've seen how you've like matured within this role. But yeah, I would say, so with that list, I'm writing 26 things of what I want. Basically, I was like, I could do 26 things I want to do before 26. I was like, literally came up with this maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I was like, there's no way I'm doing all of this. So I was like, instead, I'll just do it while I'm 26. And one of the things on there was literally like, learn how to DJ and like start DJing. The main reason being is because, so my brother runs like an independent record label and he makes music. So he has DJ equipment at home and I've always been like interested in it, but I've never like committed to doing it. And then I was just like, yeah, man, like
the resources are there. Yeah.
Like why don't do it? So I think pick up the mic has just taught me like, sometimes you just gotta like do stuff. Like don't worry about it being perfect. You just got to like do it.
Yeah, that's advice I could take on for myself, to be honest, because I would say I'm not really good at that whole just start mentality. I am, unfortunately, as type A as they come. And I know that is like a juxtaposition to everything else that I just said. But I don't know, I feel like I almost have like a yin and yang energy within me, because like I'm also very like a bit of a control, well, everyone around me will say a massive control freak. But I think it's important to have that just start mentality, because perfectionism can really hold you back. 100%. And I've seen like, like what that's done for me in certain instances. And I'm like, actually, it's just like a bit of a mental barrier that you have to break and tell yourself that not everything has to be perfect. But yeah, that is, I'm a Virgo. I'm also the eldest daughter in an African household. So, these things do work against me. So.
But no, I think it's like what you said, that like, I think it's like literally mainly through pick up the mic. Like, I think if, like I said, like I look back on it, one thing I tell people is our first ever, our main the first podcast we did is called The Student Guide, and that's like on all platforms. And that podcast, if you ever watch the first, or listen to the first episode, there's like a 4-minute gap in it. Because when I was editing it, I forgot to like, get rid of that gap. Yeah. And then, I've told people like, no, I've kept it on there. They were just, because people were just like, oh, so literally my friend messaged me, maybe when we finished the first season or the second season, said like, oh, by the way, like I was listening to your podcast and like there's this weird gap. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, there isn't. Like, no one said this. And then I listened back and I was like, oh, no, he's right. There's like 4 gaps.
Massive gap.
But then I was just like, no, I'm not going to get rid of it. Like, to me, it's like a perfect like reminder of like where I've come from. No. And I'm like, like I didn't know how to video edit or use Premiere Pro, all of this stuff. And like in the space of like, basically 4 years, I've learned how to video edit. I've had to think about like marketing, about comms, how I write like YouTube descriptions. Even the way I do the questions is completely different now. So for some of these podcasts, so especially when we started, it was more like rigorous because it was like a group of us and I didn't want my friends to ever feel like, I'm very like improvise on the spot. So I like to sometimes like throw questions on the spot. But I was also like, sometimes the guests don't necessarily like that. I was like, my team that I was recording with, I was like, I don't want them to feel like, oh, we have to do the same thing. But I also didn't want it to be like, oh, Jeffrey's like leading it. So I said like, oh yeah, you guys come up with questions, like do whatever you want, I don't mind. Whereas now, like for some of the podcasts, I will just like chuck in like a random question. Or like I will like improvise stuff because I'm just like, sometimes you just gotta like see where the conversation goes. Yeah,
you're sort of like learning on the go and pivoting in real time, which again is not a skill that a lot of people have, myself included. I think flexibility is really important no matter what you're doing. And again, it's something that I think I've had to actively learn how to do because I'm very rigid, structure, order, routine. But I think again, when you're doing something like this, especially in creative spaces, sometimes certain things work, sometimes they don't. And I guess it's like using that information and moving forward with it.
Like I could not tell you the amount of times like I'm praying they're working. There have been, especially when we're doing it online, there were Zoom recordings where either my internet would go, the guests, the team members. So literally you've got like 5 minutes of frozen audio that I'd have to cut out. When we did it in person, sometimes like we were using like one camera, sometimes the camera frame rate wouldn't be right. So like the audio would be playing at the right time, but the video would be like maybe a couple of seconds forward, so it wouldn't be mashed up. There have been times where like literally like the camera battery's died, so like it's been going really well, but maybe it's been a long day, I've done loads of recording, boom, camera battery dies. But it's like we said, like it's being flexible with how we record. So, you know, if there are any issues with like the recording, sometimes I'll just tell the guests like, hey, look, like I'm so sorry, like I realize it's post-production. If you want to redo it, like let's redo it. But if you're happy, I can find a way to make this work. And I've seen that like most of them are just like, yeah, like as long as the audio's good, like sometimes they're even like, look, it's up to you. Like if you don't want to record, like if you don't want to go ahead with it, let's not. But I'm happy with it. The biggest example I say of this is, so for the Student Guide, our first podcast, for our 50th episode, I recorded with this like person I met at a networking event called Indie. And we literally, like, I didn't know her before. We literally just met at this event. She was talking. And I was like, oh, I really loved you, like, the way you were leading this panel. Could we maybe talk about you being on my podcast? And she was like, yeah, sure. She agreed to do it. Then the first time we were supposed to record, in typical London fashion, I'm trying to get there. TFL's not working properly. So then I was like, cool, okay, I need to get an Uber because I'm going to be late. Try and get an Uber. Uber stuff and loads of traffic because everyone's getting an Uber because there's loads of delays. And I was like, I'm so sorry, like, I'm running late. And then she's like, don't worry, don't rush, just get here when you can. And then I got there and I was like, look, I'm so sorry, I've got all this equipment. Like, I don't know if you're still ready to record. And she was like, I unfortunately can't. But she said, rather than like sending you home, I was like, you've already like come all this way, you paid for an Uber, like, why don't you just work in the co-working space that her organisation was based from for the day? She said, just stay for the day, like work, like if you need to go out to get lunch, like let me know, you can go get lunch. She showed me around the space, she introduced me to her team, and I was like, oh, this is really nice. Because I was like, she didn't have to do that, and like technically I was like in the wrong, I was late and all this. Then when we rearranged the recording, we booked it for like maybe like a 2-hour slot. Then she turned around and was just like, we ended up speaking for 4 hours because the first 2 hours was literally just, let me know a bit more about you, what you do, your journey, how you've gotten to pick up the mic, all of this stuff, what's next, all of this. Then we recorded the episode. That was where I talked about like the camera quality not being out of sync with the audio. And then I emailed her and said, I am so sorry. Like, this isn't great. Like, I know this is our 50th episode. I know we had loads of cool moments on camera, but like the audio works. If you're happy with the audio, I will release the audio, but the video didn't work. And she was just like, yeah, no, I loved our conversation. Like, go ahead with it. So I think even
people
like
give you a lot of grace, I think.
100%. And I think, like you said, sometimes you might think in your head like, oh no, people won't be happy with me. They won't like what I'm doing. They might think that I'm unqualified or like I'm unprofessional with the way that I'm acting and stuff. But to be honest, like people will like you for you. So if you're authentically yourself, and again, funny enough, linked to this morning, like the guest speaker that we had was saying like he knew to like. He wanted to go into starting his own business because he was like, corporate 9 to 5 isn't going to be the one for me. And he was just like, I like the idea of like, he was just like, in the morning, you won't ever see me work. Like, unless I desperately need to do something, I'm not starting my day until maybe 12:01. I was like,
okay. We're different. Because when I started my current job, I literally was like, the earliest I could possibly work. Because I love to get up early. Start my day, get everything done. And I was like, actually, if I'm working from home, if I can log on at 7 and log off at like, I don't know, well, I work long days, but if I can log on at 7 and finish at 5, that's way better than if I log on at 9 and finish at 7, because that's my entire day, you know? So I think, again, it's about really you, what works for you. And yeah, going back to what you were saying about that lady Indy, I think people do give you grace if you communicate well with them. There's nothing worse than, you've got plans with someone and maybe they are running late or whatever and you're not saying anything, you're not telling you. I think that's an easy way to start getting like miscommunication, misunderstanding and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I think just be as open as you can. Be transparent. People will help you. People will be nice. People will give you grace.
Yeah. Any other questions before we wrap up?
I did have one more question, but it escaped me, unfortunately. I think I was going to ask you something about perhaps like your interests that like maybe are not creative. Like, do you have any hobbies or like anything you like to do that isn't necessarily creative?
That's a good question. I will say, as pretext, one of the things I'm trying to learn is to move away from getting paid for a lot of my hobbies.
Okay.
So like I liked, so during COVID, I got like a photography camera. I was like, literally, we can only go out on walks. So I was like, yeah, let me just go around, like get photos of like what's going on. now I was like, I did that. Yeah. And I think, like you said, like it is an important thing to think about, like to not have like, not feel like you have to make money from every hobby. So that is definitely a great piece of advice. Non-creative hobbies. I mean,
Oh dear, you'll have to think hard or find one.
but the thing is, it's because like most of the ones that I do have an element of creativity in them.
Okay, like what?
I've been saying it a lot more than I usually do, but I haven't done it for a while, but I did poetry, so I'd write poems.
Okay.
Not necessarily like to perform or to like make money off of, but it's literally just like, again, like during COVID, I was like literally a lot of my hobbies were during COVID.
You are a multifaceted person. You're a poet, you want to be a DJ, a podcast recorder. That's fair enough.
Funny, when you mentioned acting, I usually did GCSE drama and drama for GCSE and A level at school. I used to do theatre productions. I loved it. I also tell people like even like you said about like trying loads of things. I say that like the confidence to be in front of camera and like even that like I as a drama student loved improvisation. I also loved comedies more than like serious stuff or tragedies.
Yeah.
Comedies was like my bag. But I loved improvisation. So like if we had, so there's this game where it's basically, so like if we were doing it here, we would improvise a scene together. So it could be on anything. And then let's say like someone else was in the room. They would tap one of us on the shoulder and then I swap out. They swap in.
I think I feel like I vaguely remember doing this. It's been a long time since I did anything like remotely creative like that. But yeah, but even with myself, I suppose like I was a dancer when I was since I was very young. And when I went back to uni, because to be honest, A-levels, I'm not gonna lie, A-levels finished me worse than my degree did. Like my degree felt like a breeze in comparison to those 2 years. But when I went back to uni, I was like, actually, I really like dancing. Like, why is it something that I should give up? And then I ended up like coaching, and we went to loads of competitions when I was at uni. And I also joined the Theatre Society. Shout out to Fiona, thank you. Because through dance, actually, they were like, "Oh, do you want to choreograph for the Theatre Society?" So one of my friends at the time, Watson, he and like this other girl choreographed it, and I was like, do you know what? It's worthwhile being something, being a part of something bigger than just your degree. And I think that's something that I honestly could not stress enough is do beyond your degree when you get to uni. Like join a random society. We used to have something called the 20-minute society. I don't know if other unis have it. And it's like you would join and they would send you a random text message at like a random time and you would just have to be ready in 20 minutes to go and do whatever social it was that they were doing. And like I never went on that kind of holiday because unfortunately I am way too type A for that. But they actually do like 20-minute holiday edition where they don't tell you where you're going. Yeah. You literally have a set amount of time to pack. And you don't, because you don't know where you're going, you're like, okay, do I pack a jacket? Do I pack like summer clothes? Like, I don't have a clue what's going on. So yeah, I would say do that because all the people that I left uni with as friends, I think I've got like maybe 2 people who came from my course. Everybody else is from people I met at dance, people I met at some random event or random thing that I did or the other. So again, I think maybe that's my USP is that I want to do everything. I want to know everyone and, you know, be curious, basically.
100%. But I think it's like we said, like especially at uni, you've got like all this time. But also, like you said, like everyone loves like connecting, networking. Like I've told people, pick up again. I argue that, like you said, that if I wasn't involved in different stuff at uni, pick up the mic probably wouldn't exist. Like the 2 people that I was doing it with when it started, so Manushka and Samuel, we literally both met because we were with the STEM outreach team. We were all 3 of us were working within the STEM outreach team. And then, like, we became really good friends. We kept on chatting. And then, yeah, literally when I had the idea, I was like, so guys, like, I've got this idea. I'd love for you guys to be involved. And yeah, for the first, like, couple of seasons, they were. And it was, like, really nice because it's, like, one, it was really cool because, like, we were meeting loads of different people. They liked it as well because they said, like, oh, we're learning. So, like, that's why I say I love Pick Up Mic. I get to meet new people with each episode. I'm learning something new every episode. But literally, they were just, like, so cool. Like, we're meeting all these, like, people doing, like, cool stuff. Maybe some of them are friends, some of them are family. Like, I've literally, as we mentioned, like, we didn't know each other before this episode. No. But, like, through this episode, I've gotten to know you more.
Yes, and it's been really fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. But I feel like you said, like, this is why it's great to just, like, get out and try things because you never know, like, where it could go, like, who you can meet through it.
No, definitely. I think what's my last and lasting piece of advice? I think pretty much everything I've said in terms of, I I don't think you know in life what experience is going to lead you to whatever your purpose is. Like, I probably this time last year or maybe earlier thought, oh, I'm going to be like in this job and I'm going to do traditional pharmacy and whatever else. And actually now I think I'm starting to think so much more broadly. I'm starting to dream a little bit bigger. I'm starting to think of maybe creative ideas for myself because, like I say, I'm not really a big creative person. I think it's because even when I think about, I suppose, expanding my career from a pharmacy perspective, it's never really dawned on me that I could incorporate something creative within that. And actually, the keynote speaker at Imperial today was Big Manny, who obviously he's got a biomedical background, and he literally started making educational videos online, and you've seen how far that's gotten him, and it's so fascinating, isn't it? And I think our current landscape of social media and TikTok and whatever else, honestly, you just do not know. So I would say, do it all, meet all the people, be curious, use your time if you've got it, because trust me, once you start working or even looking for a job, because looking for a job is time consuming,
100%.
Probably even more time consuming than when you've actually got the job itself. So it's really difficult to navigate, because once you get to the point where you're looking for a job, you're probably then thinking about like money, because you want to be paid, and suddenly you don't really have the time and again the capacity to be thinking about like creativity and networking, because you're trying to be paid and fed, and clothed and housed, and life gets in the way. So I think just do what you can, basically.
Okay. Any other questions? Or we can wrap up there.
No questions from me. It's been really, really nice to be here and to be on Pick Up the Mic. Thank you again for inviting me. It's been, do you know what? Actually kind of fun. This is my very first podcast.
Nice.
What do you call it? Like appearance? Podcast appearance. But yeah, it's been really, really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is where we wrap up. Thank you for coming on. Before we let you go, how can people connect? If there's anything that Black Women in Science is doing, I would say maybe don't limit it just this month, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know when this episode is coming out.
Okay.
So if there's anything for the rest of 2025 that you want to spotlight, people should be aware of, maybe there's months people should date in the months that people should mark in their diaries.
Yeah, so I would say Black Women in Sciences, we do, like I said, a virtual drop-in every month. Next month, I know you said not to mention dates, but I have to, because otherwise I will not be able to track it. The next one's on the 19th of July, and then it's literally every 4 weeks. We are running it on a Saturday, but we're trialing doing a weeknight as well, because obviously we appreciate that not everybody's able to do a weekend or a weeknight, so we've got both options there. Shout out to System, they're having, like you said, their annual brunch event in August, and then Black Women in Science, again, they will be having an event in October. That's in person as opposed to virtual, but I would say please connect with us on all the social medias, so Instagram, Black Women in Science Network, System. I don't think I can put my personal information out there, but if you want to connect with me personally or have any questions about pharmacy or whatever it is I do, or any questions about anything that I've said today, I would say just contact Black Women in Science. We've got a general email and they will forward it directly to myself. LinkedIn, my name's Nicole Che, and I'm sure you'll put my name on there. So yeah, anybody who wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free. I'm trying to think, what other things have we got going on? To be honest, it's sort of like things come up randomly, like even things like the Imperial event today and like a couple of the other conferences and things we've been to, they do pop up randomly. So I would say please just keep in touch with us on all the social medias. We spotlight a lot of other networks as well. So there's like AFCCS, there's like BFAN, there's so many, honestly, I couldn't list them all off the top of my head, but yeah, we're all in touch with each other. We all promote each other's work. If there's like internships, if there's jobs, vacancies, like mentors, like whatever it is. Please, social media is the best place to reach us.
Cool. And thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back to another episode. If you like this episode, like, comment, and subscribe is always appreciated. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of the other episodes on Pick Up My YouTube channel, click the notification bell at the bottom of the video. If you are interested in receiving some cool merch, maybe you want to support the efforts that we do, because we couldn't do this without you, check out our Patreon page or our YouTube channel membership. Both links in the description. if you want to make sure that you're aware of our other YouTube channels, so our sci-fi, fantasy, our gaming, and our anime, sci-fi, fantasy, gaming, and anime channels, head to the For You page, scroll down, and you'll see Pick Up the Controller, the Two Maesters, and Sentences of Anime all there. And you can click the notification bell so you don't miss any of their videos too. And then, finally, it has been a big year for Pick Up Mike. We have cool things coming up. I have also been promising events. I will be doing events. I won't commit to a number just yet because I need to, as you mentioned, about balancing time. I will commit to at least saying we'll have one event before the end of the year. At some stage, we will also have our annual Black History Month networking or panel discussion. I will say that potentially, depending on venue, that will either be in person or we will release a pre-recorded video for Black History Month, so keep an eye out in space. But we will do other networking events, fun socials. As I mentioned, we're partnering with we have cool community partners, so we'll be partnering with them on events and stuff. But keep an eye on space, lots coming your way. We're going to wrap up the episode there. Thank you very much. We'll close the curtain, so to speak. And see you in the next episode of Behind the Curtain. Bye from us, and have a wonderful day.